Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway, and today we are doing our every third Thursday. However, in October and November, we do something different with our Thursday night classes. So November and December, what we're doing is, November, in October and November, what we're doing is we're going through Think and Grow Rich. So if you're in the meetup group, what you'll have noticed is instead of the every first Thursday, well, fireside chat is always every first Thursday. Second Thursday is seven-figure business building. Third Thursday is real estate. Fourth Thursday is empowered entrepreneur. My goodness, I can't get my words together today. What we do in October and November is we're moving into Think and Grow Rich. And that's going to set the foundation for how we're going to start off in 2023, where we're going to start off with Self-Image Rising, which is a study of psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. But today we're going to study a little bit of Think and Grow Rich. And it's very interesting, this book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, I will be the first to admit that there is a significant amount of controversy surrounding Napoleon Hill. And one of the other interesting things about Think and Grow Rich is even before my friend wrote this very well-researched expose on the whole Think and Grow Rich franchise, I had learned that Napoleon Hill actually died penniless, right? And so it's like, okay, well, did you stop thinking? However, the concepts in Think and Grow Rich, for the most part, are very, very helpful. And so that's why I'm still going to bring the content to you. But I will admit, I really had to do a little bit of soul searching as to how could I distill this down. And the interesting thing for me, let me see if I can make this view like a full screen. There we go. There we go. One of the things that I had to do for myself is realize that sometimes the wrestling with the thing is actually what gives us the understanding of the thing. So sometimes reading it and struggling with it is what makes it real to us. There's a colleague of mine who was very quick to say, "Oh, I took Think and Grow Rich and I took that entire book and I distilled it down to 16 pages for my kids." And I thought to myself, well, I could distill it down to one page, right? Like I could distill it down to this. Let me show you what I could distill it down to. I could distill it down to just the table of contents, because there you go. There are the things you need to succeed right there. Those are the things you need. You want more details? Go to the chapter, right? So, we could do that, but if I just give you that list, does it even bring any change? Does it bring any learning? Does it change your life at all? Does it elevate your thinking? And a lot of times, let me just say this. A lot of times we don't realize the value of coaching, right? But part of the value of coaching, as opposed to directing, as opposed to mentoring, as opposed to counseling, one of the things that's so valuable about coaching is coaching allows you as a leader to develop other leaders, because it strengthens an individual's ability to think for themselves, to solve problems for themselves, to see more and more before, as John Maxwell would say. Right? The process of coaching, even if the individual comes to the wrong conclusion, actually allows that person to grow and develop as a leader. That's why it's so effective. And so, in my opinion, the process of wrestling with this text is indeed part of the process of really internalizing and growing it. All right. So now, with that said, though, I'm going to acknowledge that there's a lot of things in this book. Let me pull the pages back up for you. There are a lot of things in this book that I'm like, we just need to say that for another day. Or, we got to remember that this book was written in what, 1936? Was it 1936? So that's why I have a little note on there that this was written a long time ago, and it is not written for a Holy Ghost filled Black woman who happens to be a minister and investor. Okay, so we just want to keep in mind that some of these things that he talks about in here are really not applicable for today, and some of the shall we say, opinions and belief sets of some of the people who are either who are featured in this book. Can we just say that some of them didn't have very favorable mindsets towards people that looked like me or had my gender? Maybe that's a nice way to say it, right? Let's see. I need to fix my view here. I thought I would be slick and show you guys the pages because I wanted you to see the time zones and thing. I mean time zones, the page markings. Let's see. Fit with zoom. Let me take it. How do I take it off a 2-page? Actual size. Okay. Oh, there's my zoomer. Okay, zoomer. Somebody asked me if I was still a zoomie because that's what they call Air Force Academy grads, and I was like, not at this age. I'm not zooming. I'm not zooming very much anymore. All right. So, like for example, you start off with Carnegie, and it's always funny. The mentor who helped me put this class together years ago always talks so highly of Carnegie. And I guess if you're from Pittsburgh, you talk, if you're 412, you always think highly of Carnegie because you got all those Carnegie things and all the things that Carnegie Foundation funds and the museums and the sciences and all the things that Carnegie does. But any financial planner knows that they did because it's a tax break. It's a perpetual in a tax break, especially if you set things up right. Charitable remainder trust, then your kids don't have to pay any taxes on any of the inheritance. So I'm not deceived about the fact that this guy is not necessarily the best guy in the world. Did not build his fortune being the best guy in the world. But the thing is, the principles that are captured in the book and the principles that Napoleon Hill by interviewing these guys, they really are very good, solid principles. And so we're going to start with the author's preface, and it is Napoleon Hill's claim. It was Napoleon Hill's claim that Carnegie offered to fund Napoleon Hill interviewing all these people. And I don't know if that really happened or didn't happen. I don't have any reason to think that it didn't happen. But one thing I know in my life is that I have taken note of anybody that has been willing to pour into me and give me their success. Whenever I've had somebody who's willing to let me ask them a few questions about something that I want, they've been willing to pour into me. Highly successful people have been willing to pour into somebody who is willing to ask. Right. And so I think that the premise is quite valid that if we will go and ask people who've succeeded, they will give us an answer most of the time. Now, if they perceive that we're just there trying to waste their time and get money from them and get them to, donate $10 million to our church fund, that might be different. They might not want to give us time of day. But everywhere I travel, I ask people questions about how they succeeded, what they did. And sometimes the answers are great. Sometimes the answers are great. Sometimes the answers are not great. I always ask naturally thin people who are mature, how do you maintain your weight? How do you keep the weight off? And almost all of them tell me, I was born this way. I was always too thin. I'm like, that doesn't help me. Yeah, so but for the most part, I find that there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of similarities in what people do. So when looking through this book here, this author's preface, we find that Napoleon Hill was talking to Carnegie, he was talking to Schwab, he was talking to quite a few other people. And one of the things that I find is interesting is if you don't have this book, oops, come on, work with me. Okay. I don't know what I did. I did something. If you don't have this particular book, single page view. There we go. If you don't have this particular book, you can get it on Amazon, or you can go to jjclink.com/TAGR. And when you sign up for the class, then you will get a free PDF. And what I like about this book is that it gives you these line numbers so we can all be on the same page. And the line numbers go all the way up through each chapter. And that way you can really stay together. Okay, that's what I like about it. All right. So where I'm at is I'm on page 11 in this version. Oh, sorry. Not page 11 of the PDF, page 11 of the actual print. Hold on. What do you call it? Me and Adobe are having a tussle here. Okay, let's go. Let's go back to the preface. And back to the preface. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, what I want to call your attention to here is this passage right here. Come on, let me select it. All right. Is that he says here, the secret to which I refer has been mentioned no fewer than 100 times throughout this book. It has not been directly named, for it seems to work more successfully when it is merely uncovered and left in sight, where those who are ready and searching for it may pick it up. That's why Mr. Carnegie tossed it to me so quietly without giving me its specific name. If you are ready to put it to use, you will recognize this secret at least once in every chapter. I wish I might feel privileged to tell you how you'll know if you're ready, but that would deprive you of much of the benefit you'll receive when you make the discovery in your own way. Now, one of the things that strikes me about this book is the first time I read it, I got a lot of value out of it. It was actually, oh, you know what? It's behind here. It was actually back in 2007 when I took my first real estate class with a guy in Maryland named Sherman Ragland, who's one of my real estate mentors back in the day. And if you're in the DC area, you definitely want to look him up because he is a really great, he's a really great teacher of how to invest in real estate. And he gave us all this book in addition to some other things. He gave us The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. He told us to listen to that every night. And he gave us Think and Grow Rich. And I'll admit, at the time, I didn't understand a lot of Think and Grow Rich. But what I did understand bore fruit in my life. And every time I teach it, I honestly get more out of it. You know, I'm not going to equate it to the Bible. I'm not going to make that leap, but I'm going to say it's very similar. You know, there's so many things that we can read or do or say. And sometimes we're like, oh, I did that before. Oh, I tried that before. But you didn't try it like this and you didn't do it like this. And so you didn't get the same results. And so I'm going to ask that you're participating in the class, that you get, that you come into the class with a very open mind. Okay. And that you really seek to apply these principles to your life. The first principle that I'm going to ask you to apply today, we're going to scroll down. We're going to go down to page 14 and get oh, I didn't put the back on the thing. All right, there we go. That this first principle is that there's no such thing as something for nothing. The secret to which I refer cannot be had without a price, although the price is far less than its value. It cannot be had at any price by those who are not intentionally searching for it. It cannot be given away. It cannot be purchased for money for the reason that it comes in two parts. One part is already in possession of those who are ready for it. The secret serves equally well all who are ready for it. And I love this next line. Education has nothing to do with it. Okay. Now, in my class, Authentic Abundance, where we do a study of the science of getting rich by Wallace D. Wattles, we actually dig even deeper into this concept that your education, your medical status, your family status, your background, where you came from, whether you're an immigrant, whether you have education or not, whether you had a good job or don't, whether all the great technologies of the world feels like somebody's already done it, we dig into why none of that matters. And we dig into it. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. And my study of the science of getting rich is called Authentic Abundance. It is a biblically based course because the work of Wallace D. Wattles is so very spiritual, even though he was excommunicated from the church. It's very spiritual in nature of how you activate these different things. It's all biblical principles, even if the people who espouse them weren't biblical at the time that they wrote them. Okay. But the biggest thing that troubles me as a financial planner is people are always coming to me asking how they can get something for nothing. That's why I was cracking up. I'm not going to go on a college loan rant, but I was cracking up when I saw the responses about the college loan thing that I posted in some local forums. And people were like, bunch of freeloaders. You pay your debts. I paid my debts. You pay yours. And And I thought to myself, 99% of the people who come to me as a financial planner, they don't want me to help them pay off their debts. They want me to help them get out of having to pay their debts. Right? Like they're trying to get something for nothing. And I find so many people in life are trying to get something for nothing. Let me hit the easy button and let me get lots of money rolling in. Or what is the way that one guru put it? I only want clients that allow me to charge them lots of money every month and don't ask me to do anything. And I was like, how does that work for you? You know, I guess when you get to a certain stature, it works well because people they want to be a part. But the thing is, this journey, you can achieve what you want very quickly. But when it comes to achieving what you want very quickly, there's going to be a price to pay. And we have to be clear on what that price is going to be. Okay. And so the other thing that I want to do, am I still on the screen? No, I'm not. Hold on. The other things that I want to do is, let's see. Okay. I have never known anyone. Okay. See if you can see that there. Okay, great. Okay. I've never known anyone who was inspired to use the secret, who did not achieve noteworthy success in his chosen calling. I have never known any person to distinguish himself or accumulate the riches of any consequence without possession of this secret. From these two parts, I draw the conclusion that the secret is more important as a part of knowledge essential for self-determination than any which one receives through what's popularly known as education. Now, many of us are very critical of what's taught or not taught in the schools, right? So this is probably no surprise to you that, what we get in the schools is not helping us possess the secret to success, and that the secret to achieving, and it's very interesting how we describe success, because sometimes we describe success by the private yacht and the private jet and all these different things. But really, when you stop and look at your own life, you might find that success has an entirely different meaning. Like perhaps success in your life will be achieving the ability to change communities while still nurturing your family. Right. And so it really depends on, success doesn't always mean being the CEO of a Forbes 100 company. Right. So there's all kinds of different definitions of success. But the thing is it's hard to rise to success if you're not embodying the principles that we're going to talk about in this book. And before I move on and talking about more of the principles in this book, I do want to let you know, let's see if I built it. I do want to let you know that if you go out to jjclink.com/tagger, TAGR stands for Think and Grow Rich, what you will get at that link is the class that we did last year. It was me and Camille Thomas. She's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. She's been doing all kinds of work in Africa. I'm so proud of her. But you will get access to that class. The entire class is already there for you. Then what you will get, if you register for that class, you are also going to get these lessons as a recording that you can keep. I'm going to take them down from the public view, and then I'm going to put them in there. All right. So you're going to get like a 2-for-1 deal. I encourage you to go out there and do that. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to start at the very beginning. Anybody watch The Sound of Music? I don't know if the new version has it that way, but the Julie Andrews version, when you let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. When you read, you begin with ABC. When you sing, you begin with do, re, mi. Oops, let me take that banner off so you can actually see that. Okay, so what he's saying here is, before we get into the book, remember, all achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea. And you say, well, of course they have their beginning in an idea. Well, let's peel that back a little bit. Because how many of us have met people that they're trying to build wealth and they're trying to make something happen, but they don't have any unique way of providing service? They are latching onto somebody else's idea, or they're latching onto somebody else's dream, but they haven't uncovered the ideas and the dreams inside them. It doesn't mean you can't make a wonderful living selling someone else's product. Of course you can. Living by being part of someone's franchise, buying into someone's franchise, or being a part of their network business. Of course you can. But without the dream and the why and the desire to make it your own, you're not going to be able to handle the battles of life. The times when the waves come and crash over you, and this happens and that happens, and your kids do this and your parents do that, and all these things of life bubble up and they really just choke out your dream. Kind of like in biblical times where it says the weeds came up and choked the word right out of people who willingly received it. So if you're here today, I'm really glad that you're here today. Really glad that you're participating. Really glad that you are studying these concepts. And I really hope that you will apply them to your lives. So now we're going to go to the introduction. We're going to go to the introduction. And it starts off by saying the man who thought his way in a partnership with Thomas Edison. I like this story. It's the story of Edwin C. Barnes. And because I keep seeming to have trouble going back and forth, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to try it again, but I don't want to keep messing things up and taking up time, because this lesson is intentionally going to be shorter than we usually do Think and Grow Rich. All right. But we're going to talk about the man who thought his way into partnership with Thomas Edison. Okay. And I love this at the beginning. Truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things of that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. If you get nothing else out of this course, oh my goodness, if all you get is that one sentence will carry you so far. Let's look at it again. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. The story that's told here in the introduction is the story of Edwin C. Barnes. Edwin C. Barnes wanted to work with Thomas Edison, but Edwin C. Barnes did not have a whole lot going for him. It says years later, Mr. Edison said, he stood there before me looking like an ordinary tramp, but there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression he was determined to get what he had come after. I learned from years of experience with men that when a man really desires a thing so deeply that he is willing to stake his entire fortune on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win. I gave him the opportunity he asked for because I saw he had made up his mind to stand by until he succeeded. Subsequent events proved no mistake was made. And so Napoleon Hill notes that what Barnes said to Edison was much less important than what Mr. Edison thought and what Barnes himself thought of himself. So we see here an interesting thing. Sometimes we might discount ourselves and we don't go after the big business, or we don't go after the big deal, or we don't knock on the door for real estate, or we don't take the next step in our investment, or we don't open up the self-directed IRA, or we don't open up any IRA. We don't do any kind of thing because we're so scared to death, and we think deep down inside that we're not good enough. Well, I don't know if Barnes ever doubted his abilities or not, but one thing was sure. Barnes was confident and he desired to be partnered with Thomas Edison on something. And that desire was so intense within him that he was not going to stop until he achieved his goal. And when he went into Edison's office, when he finally got in there, right? When he finally got in there, he didn't know him. He didn't have any money. He didn't know what was going on, but his determination shone through to Edison, and that's what motivated Edison to take a chance. What a lot of us do is we say we're determined, but then we roll back over the next day, we hit snooze, and we try again tomorrow. And I'm saying I'm including myself in that, because there have been times where I look back and I realize I left money on the proverbial table because I did not do what I said I was going to do. I did not attend to what I said I was going to attend to. And it was only when I started making that change in my life, like, okay, do I really want this or not? Only when I started making that change in my life did things start to turn around. And now all of a sudden things are coming to pass. And it's amazing to me. I wish as a scientist I could give you the A plus B plus C and say, you do this and you do this and you do this. I can't give you any more than have that intense desire and have that persistence and equip yourself with the rest of the concepts in this book. Because when you make up your mind that you're going to do it, you walk different. See, when you make up your mind that I am going to get this deal one way or another, you carry yourself different. You make the phone call different. You don't take no for an answer. If this one tells me no, I leave and come back and find somebody else. If this one tells me no, I hang up and I pick up the phone and I get somebody else. When we are determined, that determination shows through. But what most of us do is we say we're determined, but after the first no, the second no, the third no, we give up. And if you ever taken a sales class, I was shocked to find out that when it comes to sales, usually the sales are made on the 12th and 13th follow-up. How many of us give up after 2 or 3? Right? So we want to understand that it's important to have a burning desire. And what we're going to talk about next time, what we're going to talk about next week, is we're actually going to go into the concept of desire, because the concept of desire is so important. And we think we desire something. Well, how can we say we really desire it when the first difficulty wipes out any resistance to leaving life the way it is? And many of us today, we've been doing the same thing day in and day out. Oh, we get a spark of creativity and we start to do something different. We get an idea and we pursue it for a little bit. We get motivated when we see somebody else has something really nice and we want to get that. Or we get motivated to starve ourselves for 2 weeks so we can go on this trip. But then what happens long term? Long term, we go right back to doing what we've always done. And if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. And my desire with teaching this class is to help all of us elevate our lives and overcome these blocks that have held us back, overcome these things that have diffused our desire, overcome these things that keep us from being persistent so that we can actually make it happen. I hope that you will come along with me on this journey. I know that as we tend to go over the next year, especially in 2023, I am going to be making a lot of the lessons a little shorter, except for the Q&A portions. I'll always stay to answer the last question. But what we're going to do with Think and Grow Rich right now is I'm going to end the lesson here. Next week, we'll get into chapter 2. Okay. And again, I encourage you to go out to Amazon. If you go to the link, if you go to jjclink.com/tagr, there will be a link there for you to figure out which version of the book you want, and you'll be able to get your book there. But I encourage you to get the book or find a download somewhere. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want you to get my book, right? Because it's got my picture on it. It's got my name on it. It's my study guide, right? But I make what? $1 from this book. It is not going to change my world if you go find you a download, And I remember when I was $800,000 in debt, y'all, and I had to find those downloads because otherwise, now look, let me just make sure we just set set it straight. I never did anything illegal. Look, I wasn't on Napster. I wasn't on Napster or anything, but if I could find a way to ethically and legally get something for free, I was going to. So I'm not going to be hurt, but I would like for you to get the book. One of the things that I like about having the book, and this is a big one, but it has a lot of space for you to write. It has a lot of space for you to write. And then as we go through the lessons, it's the same version that was used in the class with Camille. So as you go through those lessons, you'll be able to find the numbers where we're at, and you have lots of space to write your thoughts, to underline things. And like sometimes I'll go through, and one year I'll use red ink, and another year, I have this, they make the 4-color pens, the purple and everything in it, the purple and the green. I'll just use a different color ink, and it's always fun to see the growth. It's always fun to see the growth from year to year, or from however often you reread something, right? So I encourage you to go out and do that. But it's no matter how you do it, no matter how you get it, go out there and read chapter 2 that talks about desire. All right, that is all I have for you today. If anyone has any questions, now's a great time to ask them. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, call it a day, and I'm going to go see how my son did at his football game. Yep, this one I'm missing. I've made them all, but I have to miss this one today because the little one needs his rest. So we are keeping the little one home, and I'm missing my big boy. But I did bring him some food and a bang, so he's super happy, and he knows his mama loves him. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the queue, y'all. I'm gonna give you all about 5 more seconds while I sit here thinking of how happy I am that I get to be a mom now. I get that my investments and my business stuff is paid off and allowed me to live the life that I live. And I hope that one day that these lessons will bear fruit in your life and help you to live the life that you desire to live. But since I don't see any questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for tonight. I'm JJ Conway. I want to thank you for being here for our little Think and Grow Rich introduction. I hope you'll join me for the next 6 weeks as we cover different parts of this book. And of course, in 6 weeks, we really can't cover the whole thing. So I encourage you to go out and get the class. I encourage you to go out to jjclink.com/TAGR. And since you've listened to the end, I'm going to go ahead and activate my Steelers coupon. For just a little while, you can use the code Steelers for a real nice discount. All right, that's all I have for you tonight. Y'all take care and be blessed.